Many thanks for choosing us. The Public Utility Regulatory Commission is today meeting stakeholders on its scheduled tariff adjustments. Already, the Ghana Water Company Limited and the ECG have made proposals for upward adjustments in tariffs to help boost their operations. ECG alone is asking for 148% increment in tariffs. This morning, GNPC wants PURC to resume quarterly review of tariffs because the gas landscape is changing. To them, cost is rising and there's no longer free gas, hence the urgent need for review.
For significant amount of time, we were only taking free gas and nobody was paying for it. And so the sector became almost accustomed to free gas. But that should have come to an end much longer or much earlier. We have kind of allowed it to linger up to this time. We have, because we have the Jubilee gas still coming in for free. But like I said, that is ending this year. And so any opportunity we have for free gas is not going to be available anymore. And so we should be ready to pay, not only to pay for gas, but to pay for gas at the right price. And our appeal to PURC is to take the full costs and recognize those costs. Of course, where there are excesses, those excesses should be taken out, but the actual cost should be made to stay. And in line with this, therefore, we are requesting that PURC, you've got the program to be reviewing or adjusting your tariffs quarterly. And our request is that this should be adhered to, and then to ensure that all the changes in the course of the year are reflected. We had a rather maybe unpleasant situation where since 2019 there hasn't been any change. So every year prices change. Some of them even change quarterly, but they are not reflected in the current price. So we would request that PURC please take that into account.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boache, says the upward adjustments must reflect the services provided. He's also been challenging government to admit that it has failed the people over the years as far as utility tariffs are concerned and take steps to make amends. He spoke to me earlier.
In 2 years, we have pumped about $14 billion, billion Ghana cedis into the power sector, and that cannot continue to drain the resources of our country. So you have to embrace that for some adjustment. We do not know how much yet. That will be the job of PURC to actually do. Some adjustments will definitely happen, and we have to brace up for that. The PURC has the model. We don't have the model that runs the tariff. We have the model, but we have to make sure that the variables that are going to get into the model is very optimal. The variables are optimal to ensure that the consumer is not necessarily burdened by higher tariff.
The services can definitely improve. So what we have to make sure is that we're paying the right price for the quantum of either water or electricity that you consume. It is for them to also improve the service so they can recover a lot more revenue. The fact of the matter is that electricity, when generated, has to be consumed or paid for. And in this case, we have been paying for power that we shouldn't pay for because the consumer didn't even consume it in the first place. But ECB is looking for a tariff to pay for electricity that you have not consumed. And we have to push that conversation to ensure that in the long term, that doesn't continue to happen.
There is more from the PURC stakeholder meeting in a subsequent bulletin. Deputy Minister for Transport Hassan Tampoli says the transport fare hikes is unlawful. He explains that the price computation is determined by percentage increase in fuel prices after the previous increase, among other factors. He wants transport operators to halt any intended price hike. Nana Ojema has more.
Some commercial transport operators, especially those in the Greater Accra region, have increased transport fares following what they say is continuous increment of fuel prices. Deputy Minister of Transport Hassan Tampuli says the increases in fares should be reversed to allow partner agencies to complete pricing computation.
We have a long-standing arrangement with the transport operators, depending on the movement of price of petroleum products and then also other considerations. We have a situation where we meet the transport operators and together we'll put the numbers up and we'll look at it. If the prices have gone beyond 10% since the last time prices were announced, then we'll look at the quantum of increase. Then we are able to make a determination as to what quantum of increase lorry fares should go. That meeting has yet to take place. And we have called a meeting for the transport operators to come to the ministry for us to have that conversation and the decision can be taken. So for now, that decision has not been made. We haven't had that meeting, and I believe any other person who is charging any fares will be doing so unlawfully, contrary to the established arrangement that we have.
Commercial drivers in the Kumasi metropolis say though the 20% increment does not meet their expectation, they appreciate the move. The station officers at KNUST Junction say they are waiting for a directive from their leadership to start charging the 20% fare increment.
We are happy with the increment. All the drivers are happy, but we are waiting for the prices to take effect.
It deserves about 50%.
We deserve about 50% increase. The 20 is not enough.
20% they were from. Yeah, the Sha said there. But I'm too much on because they say no diesel. They be at the no more too much and I think.
But passengers are worried about the increment in fares.
It will not help us at all. From Asafo to Ejiso, it's 4 cedis, and from Mankesim to Kumasi, it's almost 60 cedis, but it used to be around 40 cedis recently.
Say no, you better about who? Oh, Mam 20 Ghana, I'm talking if it's my son for so. Na petrol, I ain't to so. Bawku, 2 cities, get to a bio. I buy the practice. I know, Mum, why I call him no one, why Bawku cry. I also swear. Hey, and oh, reflect me. And we friend on Quaka tomorrow. Over to them, Fuano, young for a car.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima reporting.
As part of efforts to boost vaccine manufacturing capacity in the ECOWAS region, the Director General of the West African Health Organization, WAO, has challenged member states to step up research efforts that would enable them to produce their own molecules for vaccine production. There's more in this report.
In the Economic Community of West African States, COVID-19 cases has continued to increase for the past 2 years. The sub-region has recorded 837,442 cases, representing 7.3%, with 11,348 deaths, representing 4.5%, and a case fatality rate of 14% as of May 1st, 2022. Given the vulnerability of the ECOWAS population to the COVID-19 pandemic and other diseases, the Director General of the West African Health Organization, Professor Stanley Okolo, is urging member states to consider producing their own vaccines, as well as building more human resources for the manufacturing of vaccines.
The issue of ensuring that we promote and bring in research to bear, but there are other areas that are key. Power. Electricity, it is very key. And if you look at some of the things that I understand is going on in Ghana, where you have some industrial zones, and in those industrial zones, government tries to prioritize electricity supply. And that is very important because you then see that that's one way to. The next thing is capacity in terms of intellectual capacity, in terms of human resources. We really need to start supporting a lot. I mean, for us in WAHO, we have given nearly 44 across across the region postgraduate scholarships in shortage areas, not necessarily specifically for manufacturing, but in shortage areas. And these are some of the things that we also have to be thinking of. And then finally, we have this integrated work with the Department of Industry and private sector, where we are looking at what are the precursors, the active pharmaceutical ingredients that we have in the region. We do have some, but the difficulty for manufacturers is that we don't produce them in commercial quantities. But what I'm challenging us is to think about also the research in order to start producing our own molecules and how we can do this.
Speaking on the intellectual property of manufactured vaccines, this is what he had to say.
If you remember, take your mind back to what happened with HIV. When anti-HIV drugs were produced, they were extremely expensive. Okay, but then the United States government came in and other global partners and said, no, we've got to make this the intellectual property in terms of the patency. We've got to release this so that generics are produced, so that those generics are then cheaper to save lives in particularly third world countries that HIV was ravaging at the time. So why can't we apply the same thing? I mean, this is a global pandemic that's affected everybody, and this is an opportunity to have. So we have to think about that. But if you think about it for Africa, we're talking about asking people to give us things, isn't it? That is still the same thing with what we therefore need to start thinking of. Why? We've got the brains. Why can't we then focus, invest in it, and ensure that we give them the mandate and the political will to go ahead and discover some of our own? Cuba can do it. Other people can do it. Believe you me, we can do it. The things that we need is to, first of all, say that there must be an unrelenting, laser focus on it. That's number one. Number two, to say, look, we are not going to care which country it is, but let it be an African or West African component, and we can do that.
The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic has shown gaps in the health system of the ECOWAS region, thus the issues pertaining ECOWAS potential vaccine manufacturers and stakeholders. Mausi Newman's report for Journey.
It has intensified investigations into the arrest of a gang of 3 men with arms and ammunition on the Tamale Highway. Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga, confirming to Journey, said that some persons believed to be linked to the crime have since been invited to assist in the investigation. He indicated that one Alhaji Shani, a businessman and MPP politician in the Northeast region, was part of those the police are looking for to question in connection with the arrest. Mr. Alhaji Shani confirmed his invitation by the police while denying any involvement in the matter.
Tamale has confirmed the invitation of one Alhaji Mohammed Shani for questioning in connection with the arrest of 3 armed men on the Tamale Highway. The suspects, including 2 Nigerians and a Ghanaian, were arrested last week with a loaded AK-47 rifle and other arms by the highway police at Kukwabla near Nasia in the Northeast region. Alhaji Shani, who is a businessman and a chairman aspirant of the New Patriotic Party in the Northeast region, confirmed his invitation to join us.
Yes, one police sergeant called me and told me that they want to see me Tamale regional command.
Have you been there, sir?
Not yet. When I ask him, he said when I come, he will tell me.
He also confirmed his intention to honor the police invitation, denying any involvement in the matter.
But I've not done anything like that.
Following the arrest, the suspect allegedly told the police they were on a mission to assassinate an MPP executive in the region. In my earlier interview with the Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga, I asked him about the report which has been widely reported by a section of the press.
As we speak, we are still investigating, still gathering intelligence, still looking at one way or the other. Though we didn't come to our radar any person that was targeted to be robbed. For criminals or such characters, they can do any other thing. When you are investigating a case and suspects are in custody, of course you will have other suspects that you need to arrest. There are accomplices out there, especially you look at the source, look at the destination. You also look at the other persons that you think may help in investigations. There are some people that we think who may assist us in our investigations, which we are inviting them for that.
According to sources within the police, Alhaji Sani, who received his invitation more than a week now, is yet to deliver himself up. Superintendent Baba Ananga said the police are giving the Alhaji enough opportunity to willingly honor the invitation. He said failure to do that, the police will use other means necessary to ensure all those linked to the crime per their investigation are held to account. From Nalirgo, Ilyasu Tanko reporting for Joy News.
And in the studio here in Accra, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. The governments of Ghana and Togo have come to a consensus to reaffirm their international border lines. This is to ensure a clear demarcation of the land borders of both countries. 50 international boundary pillars will be constructed along the international boundary lines from Aflao to Akanu in Ghana and from Lome to Nuepe in Togo. This forms the first phase of reaffirmation exercise supported by the GIZ Africa Union Border Program. There's more in the following report by Fred Kwame Asare.
Pillars were first erected on the international boundary lines of Ghana and Togo in 1929 and later in 1975. However, human and natural activities have eroded most of the pillars erected on the international boundary lines. In line with this, both countries saw the need to reaffirm the international boundary lines to clearly indicate the land borders, help security officials identify their limits, prevent land encroachment, among others. A joint land boundary reaffirmation technical committee has thus been instituted, tasked to undertake the reaffirmation exercise. As part of the exercise, the committee would undertake sensitization programs in Ghana and Togo, launch and supervise the construction of 50 international boundary pillars from Aflao to Akanu in Ghana and from Lome to Nuepe in Togo. Speaking at the sensitization program in Aflao, the German ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Donald Kroll, detailed that the GIZ Africa Union Border Program supported the exercise with the sole aim of preventing conflict.
And so for us, our engagement, our assistance to this program of the African Union and to this program that will start here today, it is about conflict prevention. We want to help to make life easier in border regions. It is not about dividing, it's not about taking people, families apart, it's just about making the clear demarcation, the base for more legal cross-border cooperation and flows.
The National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, detailed that 4 kinds of international pillars would be erected.
And it has been mentioned and clarified that what we are doing is reaffirmation. We are not coming in to redemarcate our boundaries. The first pillar is a singular one that is going to be like a monument. It's going to be pillar 1. That is going to be between Aflao and Lome, and it's not very far from this direction. And that is called pillar 1. It's also called the land boundary terminus. That is the last pillar that terminates into the maritime domain of Ghana and Togo. So that is pillar 1. And the design of that pillar is completely different. Apart from that pillar, we are going to have 3 main boundary pillars. Depending on the nature of the ground, they could be dispersed from 6 kilometers to 13 kilometers. And there are going to be 3 main pillars running from this area up to Accra. And we are going to have intermediate pillars between the main pillars. We have introduced another new dimension. Probably this is the first time we're introducing it in Africa between Ghana and Togo. What we are going to introduce is that we're going to have border crossing pillars. Now, what we realize between us and our Togolese counterparts is that at the various crossing sites where we have our immigration officials and counterparts from Togo deployed, sometimes when there is no pillar, it's very difficult for you to determine the boundary line. So what we are doing is that at every crossing point, we are going to have a pillar there, irrespective of the intermediate boundary pillar or the main pillars. So that is an understanding. So that at every crossing point at Sege, at Oglu, you will see from the Ghana side, you will see a pillar there called a border crossing pillar. In total, we expected to construct approximately no more than 50 pillars, of course. And that is going to form the first phase for the pillar.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, underscored the importance of the boundary reaffirmation exercise.
Permit me to state that the joint reaffirmation of the international boundary line will also serve as a tool for safeguarding the peace and security of both Ghana and Togo, considering the nature of emerging security threats emanating along the West African region. In recent times, emerging security issues and cross-border crimes, such as terrorism, smuggling, human trafficking, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, drug trafficking, armed robbery, among others, have engulfed the West African region. It is therefore imperative that Ghana and Togo reaffirm our boundaries to prevent the prevalence of transnational organized crimes across the borders.
The rep of the Togolese local government minister, Bakai Boaibadi, assured of the cooperation and support of the Togolese government towards the success of the exercise. Citizens along the boundaries were urged to report activities that may threaten the existence of the international boundary pillars. The Joint Land Boundary Reaffirmation Technical Committee would undertake the construction of the 50 international pillars between 12 and 28 May 2022. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Let's now take you live to the Alisa Hotel where the PRC is engaging stakeholders. My colleague Raymond Akwa has been interacting with some of the stakeholders.
Both from the gas sector and also from the other sectors. Do they sit well with you?
Some of the justifications needs to be probed further. Because this is a technical area. Yeah. I'm not a technical person, but you heard some of the technical people trying to raise issues. So the question is it very realistic for any utility company to come and ask for electricity 148% and water 334%, almost over 300%. I mean, it doesn't speak very well. Look, we all agree the dynamics have changed. We probably need to look at how we're going to give them some increase. But you don't just say 148 compared to and the water over 300. What I'm happy is this is a proposal. Okay. So it's not something that is agreed upon. It's something that is probably going to take a while before it gets to conclusion. So I'm glad for this stakeholders meeting. I'm going to present the views of the consumers to the public utility regulatory company for them to understand is everything falls on the consumer. We live in a country where today the consumer is overstretched. Just 2 days ago, we had a 20% increase on transportation.
With the calls for a business sustainability mode of pricing, which really will mean that whether you pay directly through these higher tariffs or indirectly through government having to pay for them, there will still be a payment which will be done and borne by the
Let me explain. You cannot have a business that cannot be consumers cannot afford it or pay. No, I'm not even talking about affordability. Ability to pay. Okay. If I'm not able to pay, your business will collapse. If you overprice yourself out, how are people going to patronize your business? So it is a jaw thing. Yes, we all know salaries of Ghanaians in Ghana. So all those factors needs to be considered. ECG is talking about illegal connections and theft. Who does it? It's the same customers of ECG. Ghana Water, the same thing. But because people sometimes doesn't have the ability to pay, I don't condone illegality. It is wrong, it is criminal, it is un-Ghanaian to do that. But the question I'm asking is, if you just jump from 2019 to 2022 that for the past 4 years, you've not been allowed to increase. I mean, for crying out loud. So at what percentage do they increase a year? That is what we should look at. Are they increasing at 30% a year? You cannot have businesses that increases their prices by 30% a year.
That's interesting.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it shouldn't be. Yes, you do deserve some increases, but the percentage is too high.
What will consumers do?
Well, we'll cross the bridge when we get there. Because you know
Can
what?
consumers fight back?
No, yes, we can.
How is that possible?
We can do a protest. It is done everywhere in the world. It's only in Ghana that we've been divided so much that, and at any particular time, as it pertains to me, I've been in demonstrations before, but it's funny. It looks like government in power will never support, or members of government in power will never support any protest because they think it's going to make their government unpopular. But it's the same person who goes home and complains that things are getting tough. So we need to come and say, look.
So possible protest in the Orphan?
It's very possible. But it's very, very possible. I'm going to speak to certain organizations like Labour and a few interested parties to see how. This is about Ghana. It's not about the party either. And it's not about government per se. This is independent businesses coming to tell us to pay. So if there's a protest, it's not against government. It's Ghanaians saying that enough is enough.
I'm grateful.
Thank you.
At age 9, she was treated as an outcast and sent to an orphanage at Bawku in the Central Region. She was a child with special needs. After years of dedicated efforts by the managers of the facility, she's been transformed and now lives a normal life. That is the story of Ajua Tete, who aspires to be a lawyer. She's now among the facility's first batch of BEC candidates and hopes to impact lives with her dream career. Efuapreko Abuafo visited the facility to meet her.
An orphanage may be one of the most difficult places to grow up in. For a child with special needs, that could be an even more difficult life to live. She drooled, struggled to walk, and never behaved like her peers, her carers say.
Sometimes she fetched sand, but she was not walking normal. When she attempts to walk, you see her falling. And with water drops from her mouth.
This is 15-year-old Ajua, who was brought to the Graceland and needy childcare at Bawku in the Central Region at the age of 9.
When I was at home, they were treating me very bad. So when even they are giving me food, to just put it somewhere that I shouldn't take it. And the little children are holding containers and sticks, and they are singing that sick person.
Ajua's life, in her own words, has been one of hell, facing rejection from all around her, especially in her early days before coming to the facility.
So no one wanted me to sit by him or her, or to talk, or to even play. I was feeling very sad.
One of the people who have helped care for Ajua is Grace Wobble, a dietitian who left her job at 37 Military Hospital to start this children's home.
Then I was accepted at the Military Hospital to work at the kitchen as a caterer dietitian. Then there was this message I have been dodging for years. I had to take care of the less privileged children.
Because of Ajua's past, her survival and life now remain a wonder to many. A wonder that she still struggles to believe.
When she's giving me food, she sits by me and she will show me how to fetch the food in her mouth. So I was feeling happy, I was happy. And I was not feeling sad again. Sometimes when the sickness is high, she'll give me medicine.
She's preparing for her BEC later this year with hopes that she can become a lawyer in the future and bring justice to the wrongly accused.
I I want to be alive because I want to have justice on poor people and those they don't have anything. Maybe they've not done anything and someone will say they've done something, so they send them to the courts.
Adjo hopes to pay a visit to her dream school, Infantiman Girls, as she believes it will encourage her to burn the midnight candle and move further toward her goals. Efwa Apreku Abuafo's report, read to you.
There's heavy security presence in Bawku in the Upper East region following the gruesome shooting which left at least 3 persons dead. It's unclear what has triggered this latest attack, but the situation has led to some residents fleeing the town whilst others remain indoors. We'll hear from the police in the area on what's being done to prevent further violence. First, my colleague Samuel Mbura has been following what's happening in the town and joins me via Zoom with more. Samuel, what's been the reaction of residents to this latest attack?
So, Asha, what the residents are telling us is that they are worried for their lives. So they have to stay indoors to prevent any attacks. The situation in Bawku, according to the residents, has now gotten to a point that they would have to consider relocating because they are no more secured in Bawku. There were some shootings on Sunday and Monday as well, in which the security authorities have actually stepped up their game and forcing residents to move or to go to bed early. What they are telling me is that the previous curfew hours were between 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., but it has been reviewed from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. Because of the latest shooting that is reported to have claimed over 3 lives. The residents are calling on the authorities to come in and see how they can mitigate the situation. Because workers cannot go to work, traders are not able to go to the market, and school children have been confined at home by their parents because of the current situation in the town. So they have actually deserted the town like a ghost town. If you get to Bawku now, the streets are empty and everyone is at home. The residents are really worried about the situation.
Mbura, hold on for me because we can speak with the police public relations officer for the Upper East region, ASP David Otrifianko, who joins us via Zoom. First, what's the situation in Bawku as you're picking from your men on the ground?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. As I speak to you, that Bawku security situation remains calm. It's not as if Bawku is a good town as we speak. The fact is that the entire Upper East region remains one of the peaceful regions in the country. We have not had any security challenge to the extent of people leaving the region to any part of the country for safe haven. What is happening in Bawku is that we are all aware that there is a conflict situation that we have been managing from at least November last year up to now. We have been successful at that until last 3 days, where sporadic shooting were heard in some parts of the municipality, including Gingande, Sabongari, and the other parts of the municipality. On hearing that, immediately the police and military who are enforcing the curfew and providing security to ensure total peace is restored to that community in the Upper East region quickly moved in. And as a matter of fact, 3 people were found dead. In fact, some were pronounced dead when they went to the hospital, and during treatment, they were pronounced dead. These are 3 people that we have on record. We have also made an arrest of about 5 people whom efforts are underway to put them before court, possibly today. And so, Bawku situation cannot be described as something out of hand or described as a ghost town. As I speak to you, people are moving here and there. Though the economic activity is not vibrant as it used to be because of the conflict situation we are having now, the police and the military are still on the ground to ensure total peace is restored. And I can assure you that we are on our grounds to ensure we achieve that peaceful environment that we expect. However, we are all aware that peace comes from the people themselves. So I will entreat or appeal to the people of Bawku themselves, whatever their background. Their place has been a peaceful place and economic activities were very vibrant. Some of us travel from Boga to over there and come back. Because of this situation, only few people do this activity. So the people of Bawku themselves resolve that they want peace. And we are facilitating that. We are engaging. We are using our operational strategies, coding and searching, and then 24-hour patrols and intelligence collection. We are doing all that. We hope that the place will return to normal.
I'm grateful for your time. ASP David Otrifianko, he's PRO of the Upper East Region Police Command. And of course, you heard from my colleague Mbura, who was telling us the situation over there. We'll take a break on Joy News today. When we return, there is more in business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Ghana is weaning itself off reliance on space technology from the West to monitor water resources. The Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Educhum, has told a cross-section of tech and research experts at a conference organized by the United Nations. Launching the high-level conference, Dr. Yao Educhum announced that government has embarked on an ambitious educational reform in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to create a pipeline of future space researchers and scientists for Ghana's water management projects.
We know that we're in the fourth industrial revolution. We cannot do this, and Africa cannot be an active participant without improving its human capital base. I'm on a situation where we are relying on the space technology of other nations to do our water management. Africa must wake up to understand that it's not going to be a case where we rely on the space technology, the hardware and the software from other countries and we are just observers. At best, we become consumers of the research that is done in other places. Therefore, when we look at our capacity to fully participate in this, we have to think about how do we improve science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. So that when we talk about using space technology in monitoring water resources, it's not just us reading the research from the West. But what is happening behind the scenes that gives us the research should be equally important to us. Are we creating opportunity for our young men and women to participate in STEM? So they will be building some of the spacecrafts and they'll be writing the software. And we are not being asked to purchase the software license at an amount sometimes we cannot afford to even purchase it because our people are not writing the software. So in Ghana, the President of the Republic has decided that science, technology, engineering and mathematics education should have priority. As I speak with you, we've opened 5 high schools focusing on STEM, 1 exclusively for girls.
The National Lottery Authority, through its Good Causes Foundation, is pledged to support development in the rural part of the country as well as the less privileged in society. This is part of its mandate and in accordance with the act that established the authority. Director General Samir Bawku disclosed this when his outfit, together with non-governmental foundation Redeemer, fed, dined and gave packages to over 300 mothers at Mampong Ekuapem in the Eastern region as part of the Mother's Day celebration. Authority NLA established the Good Causes Foundation as part of its corporate social responsibility to support the needy, the less privileged and development across the country. Director General Samir Bawku promised to do more in the coming months.
Management and our staff, we joined the Ekuapem North Municipality, where we have our partners Redeemer Care Foundation, in collaboration with the NLA Good Causes Foundation. We've put together such a wonderful program designed to feed our mothers today. These are widows from all parts of the municipality. The number in excess of 300, where we give all of them their package, a piece of cloth, rice, oil, and all those things that will make a good meal. And we are also excited to also note that they also find the NLA's presence extremely humbling. Some have shed tears. We danced together and we also had a meal together. That is our way of saying Happy Mother's Day to all these widows.
Deputy Coordinator of the NLA Good Causes Foundation, Amafrim Pong, said the foundation was committed to education, arts and culture, as well as health.
The NLA Good Causes Foundation, we work within 4 pillars. So we have education, youth development, arts and culture, and then health. But aside that, the NLA Act mandates that we should cater for widows, the destitute, orphans, and persons with disabilities. So the widows are part and parcel of us in Ghana, and we've decided to share our love with them, spread a little cheer. It also gives people the assurance that if they play the lottery and they don't win, their money is put to a good cause.
The NLA has so far this year undertaken several CSR projects, including screening of over 1,000 Ghanaians at Kolewonko here in Accra.
And time now for some latest updates in the world of showbiz. Award-winning rapper Okyeame Kwame has opened up on what he believes is the one thing that he's grateful for in life. Speaking in an interview, the Yoko Hitsmaker said that his decision to be a musician is that one thing he's ever grateful for in life, even though that decision came with a lot of challenges. Here is Okyeame Kwame. If there's one thing that you're ever grateful for, the entire journey you spent, changing lives and impacting society, what would that be?
Wow, that's a big question. If there's one thing that I'm grateful for, I think it is deciding to become a musician. Because I remember when I was going to be a musician, a lot of my family members were afraid. I remember one of my grandmothers called my dad from Accra and said, if you allow your son to sing, he will be high. And then my father said, yes, but I want him to be high. But you know that the woman meant the high in another way, that I would abuse drugs, if they allowed me to become a musician. But my father understood the high as in high satisfaction. So I think that choosing to become a musician, because I've done many things. I have washed dishes, washed cars, I've been a teacher, I have done so many different things. But there's nothing I do that gives me the satisfaction of the moment than when I'm in the studio making music or when I'm on stage performing. So doing that for myself and not being afraid of what the society will say and not being afraid that I will fail, I think that is the one thing that I'm most grateful for, that God gave me the strength to be able to endure.
And that's Okyeame Kwame over there on Showbiz. Now that'll be all for Showbiz. My name is KMJ Aisha.
And that will be it for the bulletin this afternoon. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You have all the news and updates of all the developing stories. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.